in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Another beautiful morning out here in the Sabi Sands and Djuma Game Reserve. It's a little bit chilly, but those are the best mornings, isn't it? Because it means that predators might be out and about. The sun is about to peek through, and that means it's going to warm up soon, so we're going to get going. And I hope that you're excited, everyone, because I certainly am. And I want you all to grab whatever you need to jump on board for your live safari through the African bush. I've got Davi on camera, and we have to start because we want to get to Tavangumi, who was in a similar area to Kara last night. So we want to get moving close area, and hopefully we'll be able to see him. Well, you know, it's your live safari, everyone, so use that hashtag WildEarth. Use at FC on the YouTube chat stream. All our wonderful kiddies under 18, please use kids' questions at wildearth.tv. And obviously, you can go to our website, register, and use our questions and comments box. Just having a look at the lovely skyline there. Still some time before the sun pops through. It's about 9 degrees Celsius, 49 degrees Fahrenheit. So yes, most definitely chilly. So apart from Tavangumi this morning, I would love to see some elephants, perhaps both at the same time, because he's quite close to Sydney's dam. So maybe we'll see some elephants come down to drink too. Anyway, let's hope that all of that comes to fruition. And we're going to send you over to have a look at the weather over here and at our other locations.
Good morning, everyone. It's a chilly one. I'm pretending that I'm not cold. My name is Lauren. I do have Daza on camera, and we're pretty frozen right now, but hopefully we are going to warm up soon. We're going to continue bumbling. I want to make my way south this morning, but of course I must update you on last night, if you were watching. I don't believe the Talamatis made a successful hunt. Now, there'll be lots of reasons for that. We left afterwards. Lots of other people wanted to come in, but the buffalo herd were upset. They were not happy. So the calves will immediately be herded into the middle, and everyone was on alert. That's also dangerous for the lions. They crossed into Simbambili, we believe, which is really far from where we were. I'm quite shocked at how far they followed the buffalo. These animals can travel great distances. So I don't know if they made a kill over that side. That's on the Western Channel, so I'm not sure. But we will try and find out for you. But it was a very, very intense, incredible sighting to just see it all play out in front of your vehicle. And the lions didn't just jump. They didn't just go for it because it's not safe. They can risk dying. So they want to wait until that perfect moment, but that perfect moment obviously never came. So that's my update from last night. Come on, fingers, you can do this. But my plans for today are just to bumble. Literally just bumble, see what's happening. Tavangumi is on a kill, but he seems to choose the trickiest signal spots for us. So I really hope that Shoshana does get signal at that side. And we're heading south, possibly check up on Tandy, Maribs, and the Wig family. I think I'm going to go back when it gets a little bit warmer, not right now, and the sun is fully up, so we've got the delicious golden light. I think we're going to head to the Wig family, head to their house. Mrs. Wig will probably think, oh goodness, these strange people are back, and they're going to just sit and stare at us for long periods of time. And yes, we will. We absolutely will. Spending time with them yesterday was wonderful, and it made me realise I actually know a lot about spotted eagles. Jackson, you're keen to see Batilda. Okay, you gave me an order. I will do that. I will head there. We're heading south anyway. Just for you, we're going to go and see Batilda. I happen to really want to see her as well. But you are welcome to give us orders. Don't make them too difficult. Wild dogs, pangolin, aardvarks, things like that are really not going to happen easily. But if you want to see something that's doable, let us know. But Batilda is definitely doable, so we shall head there. I've been checking the African hawk eagle nest every single day, and they're not there. So I don't know if they've just decided this nest is not the one they want to use, or if they're just not ready to start nesting yet, or if my timing is off. But I do keep checking every single day. Look at this little pan. This is on pangolin track. And I must say there's still a substantial amount of water in this pan. I would have guessed that this pan would have been dried out by now, and it's not. This is a natural pan. We had wild dogs playing in here once. We had the Pungwe pack playing in here in summer. But it's still very full. And all the dams are still full. So there's still a lot of water around. It's cold. But it keeps you nice and awake, so that's a good thing. Jess Jessica, you are right. That made me chuckle, that comment last night, dark meme. He just appeared when we were talking about him. We were teasing him about being sleepy. And then he appeared in front of the camera and he just stood there and yawned as if to say, no guys, I'm sleepy, but I'm still here. We tease Darkmane, but I really do love him, and I've had some of my best male lion encounters with Darkmane. Really, he's quite the character. And I mentioned this to you already, but the Talamatis were on a waterbuck kill a few days ago in Buffelshoek, and it was assumed it was Darkmane. Wild Earth didn't go, we don't get signal there. But it wasn't. It was another male lion trying to eat with the Talamatis, and that's fascinating. It's believed to be the S8 male. It wasn't Darkmane. But he did steal the show, Jessica. He made me chuckle. Just going to quickly check the ground here to see if there's been any movement. Nada. Another update I believe I may have forgotten to give you because it was very action-packed yesterday. I went to hyena den number 3. No signs of fresh tracks, adult or cub, no urine patches. Even the smell, I'm very sensitive in my nose and I couldn't smell that yummy aroma of hyenas inside the den. I don't think they're there. Now, we have said this before, but between Trishala and myself, we have been checking every single day. No signs of anybody. I think they've moved. It's only Navella and Intima's son that would be in the den. But there's not one fresh track. That tells me that they have indeed moved to another den. And I wonder if it's a little Gowrie one, and that's why everyone's talking about the little Gowrie Misikaya. We can't traverse little Gowrie, I'm afraid. But that's okay. I'm sure they'll come back. Okay, I'm gonna try and warm up a little bit here. My lips are starting to freeze. Bumble on and see what else we can find.
I think the lips of this little creature is also freezing. We have a lovely reptile here. It's a chameleon, flat-necked chameleon checking us out. Probably regretting coming out from whichever hiding spot it's had for the last couple days. Last night there were quite a few out because it was a touch warmer than it had been the previous evenings, but this morning is a touch cooler than it has been the other mornings. So I think that side-eye that it's giving us is as a result of feeling quite cold and uncomfortable. Because if I were this chameleon, cold and uncomfortable, on a damp guari bush, I would also be giving anybody who stopped to look at me that similar side-eye. A flap-necked chameleon is the only one we get here in the Sabi Sands. Quite a large chameleon, gets up to about 30 centimeters. This one is very average-sized. I'd say a total length of about 15 to 20 centimeters. And it's called a flap-necked chameleon because they can kind of puff up their neck. And it looks a little like a concertina. When they puff it up, it's folded. So you can see the color between the folds, which is usually quite bright. Because when they are puffing up that area, it's to either make themselves appear larger, like they would want to if they're feeling threatened, or they want to be aggressive, say, to another chameleon coming along because they are territorial. Or sometimes they might also puff it up with a dark color in order to warm up once the sun comes out. But that's when it's really, really cold. But we don't see it ordinarily when it's just relaxed like this. Even sometimes when it's moving through the branches, you might see it puff up its neck. And that would just be a defense before anything has happened, just to make sure that if anything does come along, it's ready. Very cool. Nothing like a morning chameleon. It's like a morning elephant to me. Just a massive size difference.
I've changed my plan already. This is what happens when you have a plan. We're in the Mulwati now. There we go. We get sick, so we're just going to head straight to the Wig's house. Why I changed my mind? Owls are nocturnal. So at this time of the morning, they're ready to set up. We may catch them just a little bit more than we normally do. If they're
Sorry about that, guys. I'm sure we'll get Lauren back very, very soon. Let's have a nice look at the sun, actually. It's finally starting to pop out.
Give it a wipe.
Thank you, Davi. Davi just gave him the screen a wipe. Nothing's happened. Isn't that lovely?
Here are the lines.
There's lions in the distance. For me, all I heard was babblers screaming behind us. Really nice to listen to all the morning sounds, so let's take a moment and do that. I can even hear some cowbells. There are lots and lots of villages outside of the Sabi Sands with lots of cattle. You'll often hear cowbells close to the gate or on the western side of Simbambili. Now we're quite close to Tavangumi, so we'll make our way there in a bit. We just have to go through a bit of a dip before we get there, so you might lose me. So we're going to just take a moment here before we get going. Cape Turtle Dove. Hi, Monica. You'd like to know what's my favorite bird call in the morning? It's not specific to the morning, but I love the call of a black-collared barbet and a southern boo-boo. Those are two calls that remind me of my childhood. It's something that I remember hearing when I was like in primary school in KwaZulu-Natal. And I didn't know what they were, what was making that sound, and it just reminds me of being very little and all my family around and stuff like that. We'd hear those birds very often. When I finally learned what it was, I had such an aha moment. There are plenty of other bird calls that I like too, but those two stick in my head. Obviously, fish eagle is an amazing call. These cows must be right outside the gate. I can hear them so well. Oh, I like that, Darby. When the light kind of seeps through the bush, and it's still the soft winter light, it is so, so beautiful. It kind of just outlines every little leaf, every blade of grass. You can also see that the marullas, the majority of them, just have a few leaves left. They're all closing up their resources, engaging all their abscission layers to make sure they can drop their leaves and hunker down for the dry, cold season. By this time, a couple years ago, when we didn't have a good wet season before the dry season, most of them had already lost all their leaves. So it's nice to see that there's some leaves on the marullas. That means that they'll still be investing in some photosynthesizing during this time, which is obviously helpful, although they would have had enough sugars already stored from a good wet season to keep them going through the winter. My face is now facing the sun, and it's getting nice and warmed up. So we're going to get moving now to Tavangumi, and hopefully he'll still be in that area and we'll be able to find him.
Today is no ordinary day. We have many people on the vehicle. We have Dawn Rial here and we have Miss Gabby. They are holders of the Ticket to Dream.
It's a very special opportunity for us and a learning experience for Gabby.
My favorite is the wild dog because it's like painted a little bit.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My most favorite part about Wild Earth is I have learned so many things and I have become interested in so many things that I never even knew about.
I'm going to ask my friends and my whole class, even my teacher, to go on safari.
We wanted to buy a Ticket to Dream because we wanted our family to have this as a special time in our lives that we can always look back and reflect on. This is a dream to be here.
Across Southern and East Africa, the Endangered Wildlife Trust works tirelessly to save species, protect critical habitats, and benefit people. Join the EWT in returning wildlife to the wild. Go to ewt.org.za to find out more and follow our socials to see how you can get involved. Protecting forever, together.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephants, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. But absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Our owl plan did not go to plan. Apologies about that. It's a tricky spot and signal is just, I don't understand it. But this plan has worked. Jacqueline, I think it was you that wanted Matilda. Here she is. You can just see the golden light ever so softly hitting her face. And that fluffy, fluffy head. I'm not sure fluffy's the right word to describe feathers, but it looks fluffy to me. Generally speaking, juvenile or immature birds look fluffier. When you look at them, you just think, oh, that's not an adult. Obviously, in battle ears, it's very obvious it's not the adult. But in some birds, they've got the same plumage as the adults, but you can just tell they're just fluffier. Just like hyenas, they look naturally younger. Good morning, Matilda. Darren just gave you a beautiful view there. You can see she really stands out. In the same area, not on the tree with the nest, but in the exact same area. I don't really think she leaves this vicinity just yet, but she's soaring high. And again, we really don't know if it's a male or female, so I just use the gender terms interchangeably. Sometimes I say he, sometimes I say she. But you will be able to tell at some point. Once it gets its adult plumage. Molly, yep, some birds are winter breeders. A lot of the migrants that come are summer breeders, but then they leave. And the residents, they get lots of winter breeders. African hawk eagle, one of them, they're preparing their nest. The spotted eagle owls, the wigs are getting ready. I see a lot of people think it's wick, as in W-I-C-K, but it's actually wig, as in a wig that you would put on your hair, fake hair, W-I-G, Mr. and Mrs. Wig. They're winter breeders. So yes, there's lots of birds out here that would breed in the winter time. We're just sort of flushed with the migrants when they arrive at the onset of summer. And they're here for the food. I mean, summer just flourishes and such a wonderful transformation. It's really something that happens so fast once the first rains hit. Once you get the first rains, it's not the most fun to drive in. It's wet, it's grey, it's overcast. But once those first rains are out the way and the sun shines through, summer is just glorious. And it doesn't take long for the landscape to transform. And it doesn't take long for all the insects to just appear. The diversity of insects is indescribable. And of course, that's why most of the migrants come here. And they leave with the onset of autumn, really. Not that we have much of an autumn here. There are still insects around. You see the flutter of the butterflies, the buzz of one or two mosquitoes, the hum of the flies, but really, it's nothing like summer. I do miss that. I do miss summer, but I'm also enjoying the change that winters bring in. Not the cold. I don't enjoy the cold. I'm not a cold bunny, but I do enjoy the change that winter is bringing here. And all the changes that the animals out here are making to fit with the seasonal change. Alana, you're asking, do feathers grow back if they had fallen out? Yes, generally they do. And a lot of birds molt, which means they get rid of an entire set of feathers, but not all at once, so that it's bare. And they regrow those feathers. And regrowing feathers is quite a natural process for most birds. So yes, they absolutely can. We want to shed the old feathers because feathers can get damaged, tattered. If you've ever picked up an old feather on the ground, you'll see that sometimes it can look really dirty and it no longer looks rigid and sturdy, and it's maybe not sort of doing its function so well, because not all feathers are equal. You get different types of feathers. And that's why a lot of birds will shed those old feathers, get rid of them, and over a long period of time, it's not quick, they will start to regrow fresh, new feathers. Because at the end of the day, if a bird can't fly, then it's not really a bird. The essence of a bird is to fly. Of course, if some birds get their wing damaged, then they can't fly, but really, the essence of the birds are to be able to get your body into the air. I mean, when I say there's different types of feathers, I mean you get phyloplumes, and these feathers are the ones on the inner wing you don't get to see too often, and they're sensory feathers. They're found between the contour feathers, and contour feathers are completely different. And the phyloplumes are sort of really long and filamentous, which is where the name phyloplumes comes from. And they're used to detect changes in air currents. So they're sensory. Similar to whiskers in cats, you know, they've got that sensory adaptation. And in the contour feathers that I was just referring to, these feathers sort of do exactly what it says on the tin. They contour the bird's body, so they're making the bird extremely streamlined to facilitate flight. Got to reduce drag, just like a fish in the ocean is very streamlined. Birds are also the same for reducing drag in the air. And then you get the retrices, that's the tail feathers. And these feathers are very rigid, very often dark in colour, black, filled with melanin for strength. And they're normally used for steering and sort of stabilizing the bird during flight. Birds got to be stable up there. Even the bat ears, even although it looks like they're wobbly, they are actually stable up in the air. And then, of course, you get the down feathers on the chesty area. And these are soft, not rigid at all. And these are used to insulate the birds. You also get flight feathers, so there's so many different types of feathers around that bird's body. Whew, I'm starting to slowly warm up here, but I do believe there's a certain gentleman in Pridelands who wants to say good morning.
Lauren, I'm glad you are warming up. We are still freezing cold here. But good morning, everyone, from chilly Pridelands Conservancy. My name is Mike Anderson, behind the camera is Craig. And we are at Indlovu Dam here, right by the eco training camp, where last night a lioness walked straight past our camp. It was, well, I didn't know anything about it until we checked this morning and found tracks right outside our tent. Craig and I went and saw tracks just now. And they're heading in an easterly direction, so directly towards the sunrise. Unfortunately, down there, it's not a great signal area. But we also heard a male lion calling, really roaring his heart out, walking probably along the northern edge of the dam there, and then seeming to head north. We could hear some impala's alarm calling up there. So we're hoping that this morning we can maybe do a bit of searching and find at least the tracks and signs of that male lion. We had tracks of the female, and maybe if he was calling so much and now he stopped calling, he might have gone to settle somewhere in the sun on top of a ridge where he can maybe get a good view of the area, maybe think about his next moves. But that's our plan this morning, is to head somewhere up on the northern side of this dam. Our tracking partner Morris is also out and about, and I'm sure that he heard that lion calling until late this morning, maybe about 5:30. Justin, if we run into a lion, well, we shouldn't be running for a start. That's one of the protocols. We never run when we're in the bush. If we should encounter this lion, well, we're normally quite alert and we'll be able to hear its warnings. Now, animals are predictable, I find, in general senses. They will usually warn us to say, hey, people, I am lying here or I'm hiding here. You don't know I'm here. Please don't come closer, and there'll be a growl. Now, we must just stop and wait and identify where this lion is or this animal is. And then if it gives us another growl, or even if it doesn't, we just slowly back away, just like this, keeping our eyes on the lion, showing it that we don't want to cause any trouble. And generally speaking, at this point, the animal will calm down, realizing that we have heeded its warning. Should we continue to walk forward towards the lion, then of course, it's not going to like it and it will give us more warnings, culminating probably in what we call a warning charge. And if we get to that point, we've really misread all the signs and we've failed in our duty as ethical guides to not disturb an animal. But yeah, it's quite normal that we get to an area where we find the tracks heading into a thicket or something like that. And then we would just say, okay, that's close enough. We're probably going to disturb this lion. He's probably in there somewhere. But we'll keep you updated as we venture out into the bushveld.
We're still sitting here watching the sun come up. I was just listening to an update on the radio there. So just to wrap up the feathers, can't completely remember where I was at because I'm getting old. But the flight feathers. These are, of course, sturdy feathers. The long ones that you'll see on the wing. And you do get primaries and secondaries with different functions. And again, they're reinforced with melanin, that black pigment, because melanin is strong. It gives strength to hair, to feathers, to skin. And then you get covert feathers. And these are the little feathers that sort of cover the wing. There's a whole lot of feathers. And when you talk about feathers, it's not just one type of feather, if that makes sense. And essentially, feathers enable the birds to fly. And it's so unique amongst at least warm-blooded creatures. I mean, except for bats, they're a whole category on their own. But when you see, we were talking about molting and regrowing feathers, when you see a feather start to regrow after a molt, or if you're looking at a young chick and you see that feather come through for the first time, you'll call this the pin feather or the blood feather. It's got two different names, and this is the sort of developing feather on a bird. So it's normally used for juveniles or immature birds when that feather is starting to develop. So you're getting rid of that fuzzy grey down of a chick, especially when you see a spotted eagle chick. A spotted eagle owl chick. It's a great example. They're covered in this fuzzy grey down. Looks bizarre. They're slowly going to get rid of that and, of course, develop the adult feathers. And when that first comes through, that's what you call the pin feather or the blood feather. And it just looks like a little feather shaft because that's what it is, starting to pop through. And every time a feather's dropped, a new one will come through, that follicle. Just like hair. We lose hair all the time. Sometimes I'm really shocked at the amount of hair that comes out of my head when I brush my hair. And I think, oh, am I losing my hair? But I just seem to shed a lot of hair. And of course, it grows back. Catherine, you would like to see the parents. You're giving me another request. Okay, That I can probably do. They're normally around. That we can probably do. We're in the sort of southeastern corner of the reserve, and normally you do find Mom and Dad are not too far away. I think Batoda's just warming up there. I think we should bumble. I heard Mfazi Ingwe on the radio, which means female leopard. I'm going to quickly put my gloves back on. It's not as warm as I thought it is. And then see if we can pick up on this Mfazi Ingwe. Bye, Batilda. Our eastern channel doesn't work so well, so we tend to have to get into the area where there's good reception before we can really pick up on what they're saying in the eastern channel. All good behind Darren? Yep. There we go. This is the dead leadwood that gives Leadwood Road its name. The parents are very often sitting on this when it's nice and warm. So I'll definitely try and find them for you each day. Mr. and Mrs. Battalion. There's a flight going overhead, everyone, in case you can hear it. Okay, I'm going to get back on this radio and find out what's going on. Hopefully, we'll find a female leopard this morning.
So as we said, we were going to try and look for this lion, and we found some tracks. Literally went a few steps. I don't know if you can see easily. There's some toes just over here. Okay, and there's a little bit of a light patch here, or a smooth patch. That's one. And then there's another track just over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. The fourth toe is hidden. And again, a smooth patch just over here. Okay, so this lion was moving in that direction. And this looks like quite big tracks. It looks like it moved along this dam wall here. And as we left the camp this morning, we were hearing this lion roaring, and it sounded very close. And we said, could it possibly be on the dam wall? And we shone our torches, but we couldn't really see it. Now, I suspect that it probably was here. The wind is blowing quite steadily, towards us, away from the camp, which would make the call sound a bit further than it actually was. So it's quite possible that about half an hour ago, this male lion was sitting right here. It wouldn't have been a female because she wouldn't have been roaring just like that. I suspect it was a male lion. And it might be possible that he's actually looking for her or something like that, because we saw the lioness tracks. In fact, they lie down here for a little bit because I think that's where his paws were. If I move over, you can see all of this stuff here is where its tail was lying and swishing in the sand. Even here, it looks like it was resting one of its feet or its legs. There's more over here as you look down where a tail was sitting here, maybe even more than one lion. Maybe it was a lion, the male and the female, I don't know. There's some impalas alarming at the moment. Not aggressively, but every now and then. We can't see them clearly, but we can hear them just up there amongst the trees. So perhaps they can see this lion, or at least smell the lion, and they're a bit nervous about it. So we're going to go and try and head up in that direction and see if we can spot one of these cats hiding in the bushes somewhere around there. Wouldn't that be exciting? Wish us luck. We're going to try our best to see if we can find the king of the beasts.
Hi everyone, it's me again. No Tavangumi. Sorry. We did see him, but he went into an area that's very difficult to broadcast from. But hopefully, and his kill was almost finished pretty much. He just had a couple hooves and some skin that he was dragging around. So it's possible he could be in an area a little bit later this afternoon where we could broadcast from. Even later this morning, and we'll keep an ear out for that. If anyone else manages to find him. Just keep our hopes up for them. But it was nice to see him. Sorry. So we're pretty much going to be in the north this morning. So we're kind of zigzagging through the roads, and then we'll slowly be on Central, and then kind of Drakensberg area towards Buffelshoek Dam. That is the new plan. I haven't picked up any other tracks apart from Tavangumi's that were going straight to where he was. So we're going to keep our heads down as well and look for as much as we can. It's a shame that we're not seeing too many insects anymore, obvious reasons. It's winter. There's certain strategies you've got to use to survive the winter. You can not be alive for that period. Some insects have, in fact most of them, very short life cycles that include them not being alive for the winter. Or you could be an egg for the winter. Or even a larvae, depending on where it is you're stashed. Or yes, you can mate and die. So those are the strategies, which means that we're not going to see any insect time, or not very many, although you will be able to see jewel beetles. Sometimes you'll get jewel beetles at this time. And you might see quite a few manted egg cases, or utikas. All of which I will keep my eyes open for. Hi O'Reilly, you'd like to know if leopards ever roar or do they only soar? Sawing is a type of roar. It's not, I know that when we think roar, it's quintessentially think lion roaring, but it's the same mechanism that the lion's using and a leopard's using and a tiger is using. Those are all same mechanisms. It's just that the way in which they use that roar is different. Oh boy, you were looking so lovely in the sun. He's looking extra fluffy today because of the coolness. Sometimes a leopard soar, Riley, is called a back roar. Some people use that term because instead of going, ooh, it's going, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, I hope that entertains you all. Oh, look at you, such a beauty. I haven't been able to find blind and one-eye impala again, but I am hopeful that this stint I will be able to find him again. It's cool how we did a little scan there, ears pointing forward. And and moving around. Alright, let's get going and see what else we can find. I think I'm going to stop by Gallagher Pan because we're on Gallagher Shortcut. It's been a while since I've been to the Pan. So let's have a go. Darcy, you're asking if there's any updates on Tingana. No, but I was just thinking about him. When we were up on Buffelshoek cut line, just about to turn down Gallagher Shortcut, I was just thinking about him because he often uses that cut line. He walks over it between the Buffelshoek signboard and Gallagher Shortcut. So I was looking for tracks for him, and I didn't see any, obviously. But other than that, I don't have an update on Tingana if anyone's seen him or anything like that. You can maybe ask Lauren because she was here the last week and a bit, almost 2 weeks now. So she might have heard something on the radio the last couple days when I wasn't sure. Tingana at Gallagher Pan before, just on a whim. Went there to have a look, so maybe this will be one of those days again. He's in constant stealth mode these days because you don't hear him roar or see him doing territorial saw or see him doing territorial patrols, you know, to be predictable in his movements. So he's in constant stealth mode. It's just a matter of finding tracks and moving with them and hoping that's Tingana's or just bumping him. Anyway, I'll let you know if I find him here at the Pan, but Lauren is at a much bigger Pan, otherwise known as Chipper Dam.
Maribs was here, apparently. That's definitely not a Mufazi Ngwe, but it's exactly where he was yesterday. These young male leopards are very, very predictable in their movement. So we've just sort of come behind Chitwa Dam just to see if we can find them mobile. And then we will go back to the dam, spend a little bit of time there in case they pop up. That's exactly what happened yesterday. But he's here somewhere for sure. There's a really nice drainage behind Chitwa Dam. And Shasha used to use that almost every day as well. So it's very popular with the young leopards, the young male leopards. I just want to make sure he's not mobile and we can sort of pick him up on the move. Time is of the essence in the morning. Really got to keep moving when it's this cold because that's when you're going to catch the animals moving. No tracks. He's probably in that drainage. But we'll do a little look and see. Chitwa's a very productive property for its size. It's really small, so much smaller than Juma. And it's very productive. A lot happens on this property. Due to the drainage system, the dam, its location. Now I think he's down there, but instead of bashing, we're going to look round. Do you know? Leopards have territories, and within that territory, naturally, there will be a source of guaranteed water. Because that's part of their resources, it's part of survival. But Out here, their territories are huge. They're not always going to be found next to a water point. And that's just the leopards out here. I mean, there's 9 different subspecies across the world, and leopards are not entirely water dependent. They get a lot of their hydration from kills. So we do see them drink out here naturally, especially in summer when it's very, very hot. But in areas like the Kalahari, there was a study done where leopards only drink 1 in every 10 days. So they're not really not heavily water dependent. So you won't always find them around water holes. It's just Maribs is not territorial yet. And what I find with him, he's just taking this little predictable route, very like Tavangumi. And it's all he knows just now. He's not territorial, he doesn't need to push and scent mark and call and establish himself, really. He's still very young, so he just goes where he knows. And right now that's Torchwood First Rock, Chitwa Dam, all the way down to Chitwa Dam, a little bit into the eastern side of Juma and then back to First Rock again. I mean, he is the man of the rock after all. That's what his name means. Oh, I just stalled in the soft sand. Fabulous, Lauren. Too busy looking at tracks and not paying attention. Now, if Darren just shows you in here, it's a really nice drainage system. It's dry, but it leads all the way to Chitwa Dam. I can't access Chitwa Dam because of the wall, but it's a beautiful drainage system. And most of the time, well, about a month ago, Shasha was in here every single day. And I think Maribs is now in here. It's really stunning. And if you were to sort of follow it through, it would take you to Chitwa Dam Wall. So let's do another loop, Darren, just in case. I don't believe Tandy's been spotted this morning, but Maribs has. Okay, as I search for my beautiful male leopard, please do wish us lots of luck that we get our spots today.
The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, encourages people to care for the earth. Through innovative projects, they aim to reverse the serious issues that we face in the world today. One of these projects is Green Coast, a proudly South African award for sensitive and well-managed coastal sites. This sustainability project protects our national coastlines while providing unemployed youth with a love for their environment and a hope for the future. WESA is a membership and volunteer-supported organisation. Every supporter is helping to change the only earth we have. Visit our website to see how you can help care for our earth.
I love being a camera for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Baby pangolin. This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
So we are on Western Quarantine, just doing a bit of a loop. Was hoping I'd see the jackal again, but it doesn't seem to be around. I haven't checked on Sandy Patch, not there. So we're going to keep on our mission and head to Central Road. We're going to cross Viatella Dam on our way there. While we make our way there, I'd like to tell you something. For all budding scientists out there, and just for people who want to make sure that what they learn is fair and has some reasonable amount of critical thinking that's gone into it, and perhaps peer review. So let me tell you the story. I have been, for the last couple days, taken for a ride. Not in the swindle sense, but in the sense that I thought I was reading information that was credible and then it was not. And somehow it feels very offensive as a scientist to read that kind of thing and then suddenly realize something is off about this information. Everything's starting off really great and something's off about it. And so anyway, I was reading recently about the different jaw structure, teeth structure, musculature, and digestive systems of different diets in animals, so omnivores, herbivores, and carnivores. So often when I read about this kind of thing, it takes a lot of... There's not a simple comparison that you can find, especially one not one that's peer-reviewed and stuff like that. It's just maybe a paper on the GI tract of carnivores and then one on herbivores, and then you do your own comparison, right? So anyway, I've been finding those very neatly put together, comparisons of those three, very neatly put together, and in the format of scientific papers. So, yes, I found it odd, but I also found it very convenient that somebody went and did this, so I ended up reading quite a few of these. So the first time I read one of them, I realized something was off. But only right at the end, because the majority of the information seemed correct, but something was just a little bit twisted about it, or rather a bit skewed. And then at the end, I realized, no, this is totally biased paper. What is going on here? So then I Googled the author and things like that, and then found out that they belong to certain organizations, extreme organizations that promote certain types of eating. And while I can appreciate that everybody has a different way of living, I don't appreciate the bias being put into a scientific paper format and being presented as fact. So anyway, I was highly affected, we guys. Then I decided, okay, well, I'm going to exclude that from my research, and then I'm going to start looking elsewhere. And it happened to me another 2 times. Although another time as a scientific paper, the second time as somebody who presented themselves as a doctor and gave information that was so easily, you could so easily check on your own and find out that that's not the case. But it's a great example of how when there is a bias, biases come in all shapes and forms, right? We're all biased about something. The difference is that you don't want to present that bias as a fact, and there's so much out there. And I think that I'm very, very thorough when it comes to what I read and figuring out if this is sound or not. And I got caught out. So just not a word of warning, but for those of you who want to pursue science and want to make sure that the information that you get is correct, it's important to not just believe things offhand and to have a state of critical thinking when approaching information, because it seems that the whole world of information has taken on this face that I don't recognize anymore. A face of trying to convince other people of a way of thinking. And it kind of feels like I'm being hoodwinked, you know. But imagine if you just read that article and you didn't feel that or you didn't feel today like going and checking out who the author is or whatever, you would believe that. And that's frustrating because lots of people form opinions based on that and think that it is sound. Anyway, that's my little rant. Be careful what you read and always make sure that you check out that there's some foundation in science. And also, it's also good to check what affiliations authors have. And especially when extreme words are used when reading things, it's almost that's a good red flag, because majority of the time it's very difficult to say in biology or any other science that all the time this happens, every single time this happens, or this never happens, because there's always a possibility, and there most certainly is always an exception. So always look out for language like that. Okay, my rant is over, everyone. I felt very, I don't know, intruded upon somehow. So now we're going to cross the damn wall. I think this is a giraffe you might have seen with Lauren. Let's have a quick look, see if it is the same one. Good morning, Monsieur Giraffe. You can see he's nice and dark. He looks a little bit unsure of himself. I love when they stare us down in this way. We're friendly, I promise. You can come through. Maybe have a drink if you want. Hi, Solly. You say it's strange how giraffe don't visit Djuma often. I suppose we go through phases at times. Remember, there was a time when you saw tons of giraffe. I remember being in the Milwaukee and I counted 13 giraffes in that one area. And that's because of their dynamic. They have a fish and fusion society, so there's no need for them to herd all together. Sometimes you'll see them on their own, mums and calves, maybe, males on their own, females on their own even. And they have very large home ranges that they move through. So it's difficult to say that these giraffes call Djuma home or call Chitwa home because they move so much. Very nice. Just surveying the area. I hope that it'll come down to drink for those of you watching the dam cam as well. But for now, I'm going to go across the dam wall and head off to the east. I'm going to send you over to Lauren. She's back at Chitwa Dam.
Are you calling surprise? Yes, happy. Which way are you going now? I'm going to go leave the garden.
Oh, we're live. That's not good news. Once again. I didn't get that. Jared, can you talk for me? Okay, I heard that. Chit was a tricky one for comms, which is not ideal, but
We're sitting patiently at the dam. It's absolutely stunning. The mist has lifted. The sun's becoming quite harsh. Just getting active. That's the birds wakening up now, advertising themselves. Hey guys, I'm here. I survived the night. This is still my territory. I've not disappeared. That's what the calling's all about. Ladies, I'm still here. But since it's such a beautiful scene in front of us, I just thought, let's just sit and all take a moment and watch the beauty of Chitwa Dam. Herbie, also looking for midloops. He's in there somewhere. Matthew, you're seeing absolutely stunning view. I know. I'm just so happy to be back on Chitwa, to be honest with you. It's my favorite water body. I mean, there's some incredible dams up in Buffelshoek. Huge dams. But I don't think anything really beats Chitwa. Going back to the birds calling, being able to recognize individuals of your own species is extremely important when it comes to maintaining and defending your little particular spot or your turf. You need to know who the enemy is. And it goes back to, there's no point in leopards being able to identify lions individually. They don't need to. They know the lion in general is the enemy. Leopards need to be able to identify other leopards. Birds need to be able to identify the same birds of their own species. And believe it or not, the hooded warblers that are said to weigh almost nothing, I think it's less than half an ounce, have unbelievable navigational skills. And those who actually survive their annual migration between the eastern US and Central America, not all survive, I'm afraid, that's quite a migration, actually return to the exact same tiny little patch of forest that they occupied the previous year. Then when they're there, they establish their little territory, their residence through song and active border patrols with tiny little patch that will sing, 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 la 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 la, this is my patch, something like that. And of course they'll be very aggressive within their little territory. However, it was discovered that the males that are territorial and make this migration actually recognize their neighbors year to year. They know who their neighbors are on their territory. So just like I guess Tlalamba will know Shadula, she will know Tandy, it's a very similar thing, but for males. So they tolerate their neighbors. They know their neighbors. They know thy enemy. They tolerate them. They maybe don't like them, but they know who their neighbors are. And they did a study. And they took a loudspeaker and they actually they recorded the calls of the neighbors and they moved the speaker to a completely different area and played that same call from your neighbor. And apparently the males were completely unsettled. Even in the scientific paper, they said they freaked out. which is not very scientific. But they could hear their neighbour, but the neighbour's coming from a different territory, a different area. What's going on? Imagine if your next door neighbour in your house greeted you and walked out from a completely different house across the street. You would think, what's happening? You're my next door neighbour, but why are you not coming from next door? Why are you coming out of a different house? And basically, the point of the study was that after an 8-month break, due to the migration, these males make this incredible migration, move into the exact same territory by centimetre that it was in the year before, and are able to recognise all the neighbouring males around them. They don't come back and take on a completely different territory, and the point of the study was that recognising your own species, competitors of your own species, especially the same sex, is incredibly important for any individual, be it leopard, be it lion, be it birds, even fish. Most fish are actually tetrachromatic, and that's referring to their eyes. It allows them to see a lot, or see colours a lot more vividly than we do. We are trichromatic creatures, and therefore we only have 3 types of cone cells. Fish have 4. And some fish actually see ultraviolet light, or in that spectrum. There's this 2 species of damselfish that to the human eye look almost identical, and these are tiny, tiny little fish. It's the ambon damselfish and the lemon damselfish, but to us they literally look identical. However, when the ambon fish is defending its little territory, fish are also territorial. They allow members of their own species to come in, but as soon as they see a lemon, they are very aggressive and they'll chase the lemon right out. I'm going to wrap up this thought, this little story on fish, very, very shortly as we continue to sit here at Chitwa Dam.
You are crossing west.
We're just sitting here at Chitwa Dam, enjoying the sounds of the morning. Herbie, come in.
Hi.
Any luck yet?
They last saw him moving south along the drainage. Maybe he's lying down somewhere in the drainage.
Copy, thank you. I'll scratch around in a bit. Isn't it just perfect? Chitwa Dam, my favourite way to spend the morning. We have
beautiful kudu bull. Interestingly, he looks quite cautious. And wouldn't it just be the dream if you just alarm called? Because there's nothing quite like a kudu alarm call. It's so deep. And it just kind of echoes. There was a time, around the time we were setting up for Tswalu, that there were those Coronaberg mountains behind where we were staying, and it was Jean-Andre, Alex and I, and we were sorting stuff out, and we saw this kudu on the mountain, close to the base of the mountain. And it was there, it's cool, we were just at the vehicle fixing things and putting things together and all that stuff, and then you just hear, bah, the kudu alarm called from the base of those little kind of kopje type things, not a massive mountain, not at the base of that one. And it alarm called, and it just kind of echoed. It was amazing, that sound. And then we saw it was alarm calling at a female leopard that was walking across the mountains. You'll be able to hear the magpie strikes behind us. Then pew, 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 pew. That's a very important thing, I find, to know where the antelope are in an area that you're working. So if you do hear alarm calls, you know, oh, the impala were here, or the kudu was here. But he does seem very cautious, and I'm hoping this is a clue to us that he senses, hears, smells, whatever it is, something that he's not happy about, perhaps a predator. Always though, when the head is down, it's a good indication that they're relaxed a little bit. He's just popped it up again. Davi, I'll move forward just a touch so we can see him a little better. Let's get him through that gap. Actually, we might be able to get him through this gap. Okay, there we go. Just a tiny bit better than what it was. Hi, Liesel. Liesel would like to know if kudu. Let me put this softer. If a kudu is bigger than a waterbuck. So kudu is about 250 kgs, give or take. There's a lot of variation in their size, but on average, a male is about 250 kgs. A female is about quite substantially less than that, about 170 kgs or so. But a waterbuck is bigger. A male waterbuck can be about 270 kgs, and a female about 180 kgs or so. Those are all averages. So there is variation within that. Kudus are taller than waterbuck, though. I'm really enjoying watching him because he is very careful about his movements, and he's kind of just walked in a little square almost. So something is distracting him. It could be a predator, it could be some females around, because kudu do mate in the winter time. But he seems like he might be outcompeted by some larger males with more complete horns. That's an interesting question. Hi, Blake. You'd like to know if I've ever seen different antelope species fighting one another. I haven't. But that's a really interesting thought. I'd like to know if any of you have. If you have seen two antelope of different species fighting each other. Won't you use that hashtag Wild Earth or @FC in the YouTube chat stream, and then also go to our website and register, use our questions and comments box, and let me know.
So you've come to us at just the right time. Sorry about Trish. She's lost her signal there. It's quite normal in the African bush, but as you can see, we have managed to find big male lion tracks. I put this here. The track is just over here, the big pad and toes all around that edge there. Now this track is very fresh. Remember, this lion was calling at about 5:30 this morning, just before we started our drive. And then just now when we stopped you can hear that I'm whispering a little bit. Just as we started looking at these tracks here, we heard something, or I didn't hear anything. But Hope and Craig both said they thought they heard a little little contact call, very low, and that sounded very close to us. So I think this male lion is somewhere nearby where we are now. Now this track is going in that direction, down this road. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to find this line somewhere heading down towards the drainage line that heads towards Ndlovu Dam. We found its tracks at the dam, and we've been hopscotching off of both male and female tracks. I think this male lion might have smelt this female. It might be Lagatha, the lioness that lives around here, and he might be trying to find out where she's gone. You can see he's moving quite fast. There's a track here. There's another track, I can't see in this section, but there's another track here, and there's another track right there, just in there. So he's moving quite fast down this road. Now, at this time of year, it's quite normal that animals will use game paths because they're becoming very nice and clear. And of course, to lions, a road like this, or to this lion rather, a road like this just becomes a game path, a big game path that takes it easily from high places like where we are now to drainage lines, to dams, to different feeding areas, or hunting areas I should say, where an antelope might be feeding. This is really, really exciting. It's not often I get to track lions on foot here in Pride Lands. We see the tracks often, but normally it's just from the vehicle, and Morris would have found them and said, oh, the lion is here, and then we go and find them in the vehicle. But to be actually tracking on our own, using the skills, it makes me think what it might have been like to be a hunter-gatherer back in prehistoric times before we had modern methods and ways of hunting. We'd have to really be able to recognize tracks like this and know how fresh they are, where they're going, so that we can avoid getting into a conflict with this animal. But it's really, really exciting. So wish us luck. We're going to head down towards that drainage line and see if we can find this lion.
Wild Earth knows it is critical to help as many young people as possible to connect with the natural world. We hope that by bringing the wilderness to our future conservationists, we will inspire a love for nature and perhaps plant a seed which will flourish in the future. Over the years, kids from countries all over the world have joined us on safari.
I really enjoyed learning about the leopards and the cubs and how they hunt and live.
We got to see different
goats, and we also saw our male lion's tracks.
I got to learn about like different types of animals in their natural habitats.
It was like we were on a real safari, so it was kind of cool. We got to see a lot of unique animals.
That whole Safari Live video just inspired me to fulfill my dream of becoming a safari guide as well.
Hi everybody, I'm Tiana, I'm from Johannesburg, and I am one of Wild Earth's biggest fans.
Been watching for 4 years, DG here from the Ozarks.
It's been 4 years for me and I'm not leaving anytime soon.
It's given me a time away from the hassles of the city, and it's given me a connection to a place that has stolen my heart, which is Africa.
Last year we lost our son, and now we're just watching Wild Earth. Love to all you guys.
You are reminding us of the role that we play in nature conservation, each and every one of us. You have reconnected myself to a dream that I had as a child to get involved in nature conservation, and for that I'm really grateful for as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
So we are just walking down this hill here, and we have to slow down a little bit because the area is not getting thick, but this lion was contact calling just over here. And now's the time we have to listen quite frequently, not only for that lion, but also for the alarm calls of different birds, different mammals, things like monkeys, go-away birds, squirrels, that might be letting us know that this lion is passing by. But its tracks are not here anymore on the road that I can see. So I'm not sure if it's taken a bit of a game path off here and gone in a different direction. Now these animals are very, they've got great senses. So they never know, or they'll always know when we're coming much before we know where they are. So it's quite possible that this lion contact called because we started discussing a track quite loudly. And of course I was talking, so it might have heard us and called to the lioness if he was with her, just to say, there's something here, I'm moving off. But it's very interesting. And we talked about prehistoric times, how, we would have to know about lions, but not only would we have to know about lions to avoid them, but a lot of people back in those days would have actually stolen food from lions, because lions are predictable, they don't want conflict, and humans have hunted them for millennia. So what might have happened in the old days, and I know this from my old tracking partner, Fani, who used to tell me that his father grew up in the Kruger Park, and he was born in the Kruger. He said his father used to, when he was out on patrol, he was a ranger, if they found lions with a carcass, they would go in and chase the lions away from the carcass and take some of the meat. Because, of course, in those days, there was no supermarkets, there was no way to get meat easily. So it would be quite amazing. Just imagine having to chase lions off of a carcass in order to get some food. If you look down in that direction, you can actually see the vegetation gets a bit greener. There's large trees, lots of shade, lots of thickets. It's the kind of place this lion might be heading to go and hunt. Now, we've seen lots of impalas down towards the drainage line areas. They waited up here during the night, and they've gone down to the drainage lines where it's greener now in order to feed and to get some water. But they're very water dependent. So this lion might be hoping to ambush something down there. It's always a misconception that male lions don't hunt. When a male lion is on patrol like this, of course he gets hungry. If it's 3-4 days, he's going to get hungry, and so he will have to hunt for his own food. A male lion is big and powerful. And so we often don't find the leftovers of the small things they catch. If it caught a duiker, that whole thing would get eaten. There would be no leftovers. The lion might still even have space for more. Still very quiet though. I haven't heard anything since that contact call. Let's keep moving slowly down this way. You can see the ground now is quite rocky and gravelly. So it's not easy to find a track in this kind of gravelly area. I'm hoping that we find some sort of nice sandy environment where we can see the track again and know exactly where it is. But whilst we do so, we'll send you over to Trish.
I'm so lucky. Found an elephant. It looks like a young cow, but it's very difficult to tell without being able to see them properly. And there's more elephants just beyond this one. I can't see them very well, but I can see the trees moving. And I'm hoping that this will be the first of many elephants that we will see today. It's amazing how their bodies blend in so well into the environment, especially this drier winter landscape. And you will notice one. It looks like there's no others around, and then suddenly your eyes get accustomed to seeing them, and then they start to emerge. It's reversing out of the shot. I'm quite close to the bend, so I'd like to swing around and see if there's the rest of the herd around. We'll do that in a bit. Hi, Elaine. You'd like to know why an elephant's skin is so dry? I must say that I don't think there's any animal out in the wild that has nice, plump, moisturized skin. All their skin pretty much looks like this. The difference, though, and I think what you're talking about is the fact that the skin of, say, a predator, which is covered by fur, is not exposed to the elements in the same way. No, turn that down. Is not exposed to the elements in the same way as an animal who does not have a thick layer of fur. Their skin is exposed. So for an elephant, there's no need for them to have a thick layer of fur in them because they're such large animals that they already produce enough heat to keep them warm. They don't need this additional covering. And that means that they've exposed their skin to the elements, but at least they don't overheat. And they do try their hardest to take care of their skin by giving themselves nice dust baths and packing on mud onto their skin, trying to keep as much moisture into the wrinkles of their skin. Also remember that drier, more calloused skin is tougher as opposed to the soft skin that you may find, like I said, underneath the fur of a predator. All right, let's go around the corner and see if we'll find any more elephants to spend some time with. I would love that. And you can even chat more about their skin, whatever else you like to about these ellies. Oh, bless you, Darby. I have a feeling that they might be a little further into the block as opposed to coming out where I'm hoping they will. But that's okay. We'll
we'll keep on having a look around for them. And considering that we are fairly close to Buffelshoek Dam, maybe we'll get lucky with a few coming down to drink, especially since they don't always have to be in tight herds. They can be scattered along this area for kilometers and still be part of the same herd. Almost thought I saw a little early bum, but I didn't. Okay, so let's keep on moving. Hopefully we'll catch up with some more elephants soon.
We've thoroughly scratched around for our leopard, but sadly, no sign. Sometimes the best thing to do is turn up your engine, put your patience pants on, and just see if you can listen. Not just for the sounds of a leopard, but also alarm calls, movement. So that's exactly what we're going to do with you. I'll sit here and listen to the sounds of the bush. Definitely starting to warm up now. So are all the animals, so we're going to keep bumbling.
Hi guys, we have a bit of an upset young bull here. He's giving us some trouble, so we're actually going to move away from him as soon as he moves further away. So what we don't want, because he kind of ran straight up to the vehicle and I had to bang on the dash. Okay, are you eating now? I think he's lying to us. I think it's best if we leave him. But what we don't want is to encourage him to chase us. So that's why we need him to be far away enough so that he doesn't feel that he needs to chase us, and then that becomes a habit for him, because then he might do it to other vehicles and also do it to camps and things like that, and then he will be killed, basically. So we don't want to. That was actually the best way that could have turned out. He tried to kind of mock charge us twice. You could see that he was not going to, but the thing is, you don't want to take a risk when it comes to elephants. And especially, you don't want to stick around if they've already said to you, I'm unhappy with you being here, and
irritable. I don't want you here. You don't want to just continue to stick around because then you're inviting trouble. I find that when you get an elephant that behaves this way with the herd, there's a much better feeling about it. They feel more comfortable. The other elephants are usually, if they don't react, then it's, just this one being a little bit fussy. But when they're by themselves like that, you don't know what's bothered them. You don't know if they've seen a predator. Actually, it's like they've all their tracks are moving down here. Okay, let's continue on this road then. So you don't know what's up, and they don't have the support of the rest of the herd in case they feel particularly threatened. Hi, Hammond. You'd like to know if I think an elephant can stick its tongue out. I have seen that, but it's not as you imagine. I shall demonstrate. Davi, please don't zoom in. Davi. So, when we stick our tongue out, right? Elephants can't do that, but they can go. Davi! They kind of just can stick it out onto their bottom lip, but they can't they can't do that. Davi and Jandre love to do that to the presenters, just so you get the full face view. Tight, no space for any animals in that shot. I have a very big tongue. I guess that's obvious. But it's quite nice when we get a view of an elephant front on and it's eating, and you get to see that really big pink tongue. Yes. I did good predicting. Now she looks like she's on the move, so maybe we'll just wait in a gap. Okay. So it seems like they are scattered all over the place, which is nice. It means that we might bump quite a few of them. And hopefully by the time we get to Buffalo Dam, there'll be some there too. Anyway, let me send you over to Mike. He's still busy tracking his lions.
So as you can see, we are stopped here now. We've come to a bit of a challenge. We cannot find the tracks now. We had those tracks heading south towards the eco-training camp, or rather sort of east towards the eco-training camp. West, east, doesn't matter. But we cannot find them now. We've lost them somewhere along here. We cannot see the tracks, and it's even nice sandy ground. So it should be really easy to find these tracks if they were here. I suspect these lion tracks have somehow crossed this road somewhere that we haven't seen, and so we're going to just keep walking in this direction and never find anything. That would be my thought. So my feeling is that we probably have to somehow go back to where we had those tracks and then maybe walk back across somewhere here, because we should be able to see where it's rocky like this. We've crossed a whole area being super rocky, and it's not easy at all to see the tracks. Now I suspect we need to go back to where we had the tracks and find it going down. Pile, there isn't really a lion pride that lives here. Part of its territory is on here. The core of its territory used to be here. The hyena clan, we suspect, got a bit too big, about 15 members, and they actively defend this area a lot. And the lion prides in the area had lots of youngsters. I think there are 11 cubs or juveniles, lions in the area. And with so many youngsters, it's just too dangerous for them to be here. The hyenas will really cause them a lot of trouble. I believe that about 17 lions walked past the eco-training camp not long ago, a couple of weeks maybe at the most. So they're starting to move through here as the youngsters get a bit older and more able to defend themselves. But until they're really strong enough to defend themselves, they don't really want to come too much onto pride lands. But of course we've got male lions, we've got Lagatha, and these other lions come through here every now and again. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to find this male. We know he was calling from southwest of the camp this morning. He was moving east towards the camp, and he called from the dam wall. We saw his tracks there. So I think the tracks we found up here might be slightly earlier in the morning, coming down to the dam and then going somewhere from there. But then there was also that contact call, that little oomph. So much mystery. I don't know what's going on, but we'll keep you updated. In the meantime, we'll send you over to Trish. He's got some elephants.
Oh, I like a good mystery. I do like a good mystery. That's why I enjoy tracking as well. And also just trying to figure out something that's happening in the bush. Because it's a bit of mystery. It may not exactly be the Agatha Christie style murder mystery, which is the types that I love, but it is close enough. With our elephant here, not much mystery though. It's just busy eating, enjoying little bits of grass. When they do eat grass, at this time of year, when they're starting to transition away from eating the grass because it is dry, you'll find them mostly eating grass around drainages. But soon they will move to whatever foliage is left over. But they also don't have a problem eating completely, mostly dry grass. It's just as long as it's not completely dry, because then there's no nutritional value. Oh, hello, girl. Hello, gorgeous girl. You are big. I love hearing the sound of them walk through the bush. Thank you so much for coming out into the road so we can see you. Oh, I love them so much. Imagine here we are just, falling off the vehicle in awe of them, and they're just living their lives. Just going about their enormous business as they do. Okay. Let's make our way towards Buffelshoek Dam and see if there are any others that will join us. I have a feeling that elephants don't like Rusty very much. Rusty is this vehicle. Hi, Harvey. You'd like to know if elephants inherit mannerisms. Let's leave it be. If elephants inherit mannerisms from their parents, did I hear? Maybe I'll adjust that to their herd. That's a really difficult question to answer because it's subjective. It would mean that there's a mannerism specifically that you have in mind, and then we have to figure out if that's a mannerism or is it the behavioral adaptation. Anyway, I would think no, because of what I just said, because I'm not sure I can think of a mannerism that is specific to a particular herd. I can think of certain behaviors that are not genetic, or they're learned behaviors. I can think of temperament, which are kind of subjective things, but not quite mannerism, that could be inherited in the sense, in the non-scientific sense of the word. So just as an English word, it may be inherited because, such as temperament, because the herd has a good attitude towards vehicles. Let's take that example. If the herd has a good attitude towards vehicles and there's youngsters born into that herd, they're going to feel comfortable and also have a good temperament when it comes to vehicles. But that's not inherited in the genetic sense. It's learned. And then also it can very easily be unlearned if that calf has a bad experience with vehicles. I think I see more, so we might be lucky at the Fawcett Dam. The dam, we can always swing back around and use this way to get us back towards the central portions of Djuma. That way we can spend some more time with the elephants as they start to emerge out of that drainage. Anyway.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, Wild Earth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular land-based safari, Marataba Luxury Lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature. For many years, Wild Earth has taken viewers from around the world to the Mara Triangle, a place of majestic beauty and abundant wildlife. But it wasn't always like this. Before 2001, it was infested with poachers. Illegal harvesting and hunting was rife. Now the situation couldn't be more different. The hard work and dedication of the Mara Conservancy has revolutionized this magical land. But now, the loss of revenue from tourism has created a grave crisis. The Mara Conservancy needs help if they are to continue protecting the reserve and supporting the local communities whose livelihood depend on its survival.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially sabalts and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
We've not had much luck so far, I'm afraid, but we are in the exact same spot yesterday. Sorry, now that we had the buffalo and the lions yesterday. And they're not here, we know that, but it always just amazes me that time is just nothing here. All this action happened and now you can just see the remains across the road. And what is time anyway, really? Time is a man-made concept at the end of the day. I once read a book about time and how it really has been created by man. Time is not linear, and yet we're so fixated on it. Everything we do is about time, time, time. Even the calendar. In Ethiopia, they're 7 years behind us. They don't go by the Gregorian calendar. They're not in 2021. It's amazing. They've got their own calendar. Now we're just here at Treehouse Dam. I just thought I would wrap up what I was saying earlier. I can't really remember what it was fully now, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. But for those that are interested, talking about identifying your own species is incredibly important. Leopards must know leopards, lions must know lions. The biggest threat to any individual is an individual of your own species. And even fish, we're talking about the ambon and the lemonfish. To humans, they look identical, absolutely identical, but when the ambon's defending his territory, fish can be really aggressive, believe it or not. He will let the ambon damselfish come in, but fight away the lemons. And how is he identifying them? And it turns out when you shine UV light on their faces of both species, they have completely different facial patterns that don't look similar in any way, shape, or form, and is only visible in the UV light spectrum. It's like a fingerprint, and the fish can see that, so they know immediately whether it's an ambon or whether it's a lemon, whether it's one of their own or not. Whereas we can't see that. We are not aware of that. They just look identical to us. But to the fish, they look completely different. And of course they have to be able to recognize, is this the enemy? Is it a different species or is it my own species? Recognition skills, highly important in any animal, and that's why the birds call. That's why the leopards leave scent marks. In fact of the day, actually, I believe in 2014, if I'm not wrong, it was actually discovered that evidence of rods and cones in a fossilized shark creature that lived over 300 million years ago. It was concluded that that shark actually had color vision because of the evidence of the rods and the cones. And they thought that maybe color vision was actually originally invented underwater. And since then, fish have evolved all sorts of visual capacities way beyond our own. We think fish are basic, they're not at all. So color vision, was it really invented underwater? But if you think each organism from bird, those that have feathers, fish, those that live underwater, mammals, those that walk on land, they all have their own unique way of recognizing each other because that's what's important. If you think about it, we walk into a room of 100 people. Eventually we'll be able to recognize all of those people facially. Maybe not, we may not remember anyone's names. I definitely wouldn't remember anyone's names. I'm terrible with names. But facially, we will start to recognize everyone. But if we look at 100 chimpanzees, would we recognize them all? They all do look different, absolutely. And chimpanzees would be able to recognize each other individually, but would we? No, because it's not our own species. 100 beagles. I'll recognize my own beagle, Little Miss Puppy, but would we be able to recognize individually 100 different beagles? Probably not, no, because we don't need to. It's not our own species. And that's what's important when you think about animals out here and how they survive. Must be able to recognize their own. Daz, are you ready to bumble? We have an hour left. I feel like we can do this. We can find an animal. Yesterday was very busy for me. Lots of excitement, but we can do this. I still haven't had an update on the Talamatis, which makes me think that they are on Simbambili, a different channel from us. Even hyenas, if you think about it, they're in a clan. Yes, they squabble, they fight, they have a hierarchy, they can be aggressive with each other in their own clan, but they immediately know when it's a hyena from a different clan, and it's a completely different set of behavior. So they recognize their own, they have to. They can recognize all members of their own clan's individual calls, and they have up to 14 different calls. Think of the North clan in the Masai Mara. Good old Waffles, I miss her very much. There's about 90 members of that clan, so a hyena can recognize all 14 calls of each 90 individuals in the clan. Now that's 9, 14. Are you good at maths, Darren? Darren's eyes just went very wide there. But anyway, that's a lot of calls, that's a lot of identification and audio, and that just shows you another remarkable cognitive ability from hyenas. But the point is they need to recognize their own, and they also need to recognize when it's not their own. Different clan member, that's what's important. A lion's just a lion. Any lion's a threat. It doesn't matter if it's the Talamatis or the Inkohuma or Purple Eye or Dark Mane. Don't need to know these animals individually. They just know full stop. Lions are a threat. The enemy. Okay, I need to start recognizing animals and finding animals out here. Apparently Sabui crossed into the property yesterday, but I didn't see any signs. We had a look around Gary Main. Let's get up to this junction up here. Junctions are really good areas. Obviously for the vehicles, but for animals as well, because you can stop and look in all directions and see if anyone has traversed down here. Junction. Now I just want you to look at this. You see the left hand track there, Darren. I don't know if it's been driven on this morning because these tracks look very, very fresh. But you can see immediately, without Darren having to zoom in, there's not one single track. Either nothing walked here or vehicles have driven and covered everything. Not one single track, not even a hyena, not even a bird. You see that? You can see that from a distance. That sort of tends to tell you that a vehicle has driven here. They look very fresh. Lucas, that's a very tricky question because again, animals covered us and everything else. So it covers insects, fish, birds, mammals. So an animal that is territorial will not leave its territory unless it's under pressure. So if you think of the predators, like your leopards, I know they're not the prey, but if you think of Hukamuri was a perfect example, he was feeling a lot of pressure from all sides, from other dominant males who were in better physical condition than him. So he did start to leave, he did start to shift his territory from pressure. But prey animals, they tend to not be so territorial. They tend to have large home ranges. So they will shift naturally. If there's possibly a high density of lions in this area, they can naturally gravitate away. But you've got to think of the jigsaw puzzle. All the animals are mobile. All the animals are moving. Even in Juma, we've got the Talamatis here, but the Nkuhumas here. So generally speaking, prey would not tend to move away from predators. It would be other reasons. It's most likely resources, food and water. They will follow the food at the end of the day. Impala will move wherever they can find food. Steenbok duiker will move, although they are territorial. So it really depends on what animal you are talking about. Not all animals have the capability of moving as well. But I think moving due to predator pressure wouldn't be the reason. It would be down to resources, I think. So I'm really going to concentrate now and try and find some animals.
We finished our lion search and we've now found a buffalo. We've come back to Ndlovu Dam, and this big old Dugger boy is, well, I'd say Dugger boy, it's a buffalo bull, now making its way down to the northern edge of the dam. Hopefully not going to walk up onto the dam where we are. The wind is blowing strongly in our favor from the buffalo to us. The sun is behind us, which is also good for us, and we are in the shade. So we've got all the variables in our favor. It's unlikely this buffalo will even know that we're here unless we move around too much or start shouting and jumping up and down. Super awesome to see a buffalo bull on a walk coming down to the waterhole. We heard impalas rutting, but it might also have been this buffalo moving through the vegetation. Nice big bull, see chewing cud as it walks down, just chewing away. Does it see us? No, not yet. It's having a look around, but their eyesight's not great. I mean, if we were standing out in the open without the shade, sure, maybe they would have seen us, but with this tree behind us and with the shade, I don't think it knows that we're here. Even if it did, it can almost certainly smell the camp, and it probably lives around this area. And so it's quite used to having people at this dam. It's going to come and drink underneath JP's favorite tree, the apple leaf. Now you can see that buffalo. It's got lots of bare patches on its skin. It's getting older, losing its fur. It's covered in old mud from when it last mud wallowed, but still incredibly powerful, very strong, and definitely one of the most feared animals in all of Africa, especially when you're on a walk just like this. But we're in a pretty safe spot, other side of the water. Buffalo's having one last scan before it makes those final steps to the water to have a nice thirst-quenching drink first thing in the morning. What an awesome way to spend a morning.
So we've gone past Buffelshoek Dam and there was nothing happening there. So we swung past around to come back to where the elephants were kind of scattered along, hoping that more would pop out and we'd be able to see them once they emerge from the drainage. But it looks like they're actually moving in the opposite direction to us, but maybe we'll get lucky because as we came along we didn't see any. I'm surprised to find pretty much no tracks, no leopard tracks in this eastern portion, and I feel like I'd love to see Kalamba sometime soon. We just drove past that area where she was in the dead leadwood. Actually, I think we're about to drive past it again too, and it reminded me of her, and I thought, oh, I miss her. But she's also been all over the place, so it's difficult to predict where or which area to go searching in to find Kalamba.
I'm just going to park here. There are dwarf mongoose, at least one, on the road. Come out, come out. This is when we have to wait patiently for them to emerge again. It was just one though, and they should be out foraging by now. It's warmed up. Sun's out quite warm.
There he is.
Hello, little dwarfy. Thanks for coming out onto the road for us. Oh, they're so cute. This one's eyes look extra big, like it's begging for something. There you go. For all the people who always ask me about whether they blink, I hope you just saw that dwarf mongoose blink. It's not easy to see. It doesn't happen often, and they do win most staring competitions. But they do blink. Yes, we saw you blink. I know everyone. I know they're very, very cute. I really do love them. Well, the elephants were in this area. If one steps out, I'm sure this one will feel very dwarfed. Darby laughed, everyone. Okay? I don't know if you can hear this Franklin in the distance. It's in the drainage. And it's a very difficult drainage to get to. But I also thought I heard an alarm call from that side, just as this one popped out. So we're just gonna stay put and listen. Looks like that dwarf mongoose is also interested in whatever is in that drainage. It's looking off in that direction. Where's the rest of your friends? Mm-hmm. This one looks just a little bit young, not a baby, but doesn't look fully grown. It might just be the way that it's sitting, but we'll have a look if it gets up for us. It is amazing how aware of us, our movements, even if we're silent and we're here. They will be staring at us, and that's interesting because a lot of the time you'll find that there's one sense that kind of dominates with animals. So with like with wild dogs, they're going to hear you first. Antelope as well, they'll hear you first and then they'll swing their head around. And then if you're very quiet, they'll be comfortable and carry on doing their thing. But dwarf mongoose, as long as they can see you, I mean, they hear you too, but even if we're perfectly silent sitting here, they don't, or the assumption is that they don't just think, this is just a rock that's rolled up on the road. They're very aware that this is not part of their normal environment. They're curious about it, but also very, very cautious. Oh, even got a wink there. Hi Roxanne, you'd like to know if mongooses are diurnal? Most of them are. Diurnal means that they're active during the day. Most of them are, but we also get a nocturnal species of mongoose here called a white-tailed mongoose. We've been finding quite a few of them around, so maybe tonight we can find you one. Go on. Off you go. Oh, let's see if we can roll, because I think I've found... Nope, we can't roll. I think I found where they are, where they all are. But we'll just park and wait again. See if they pop out. So it's this termite mound here that I saw them all scurrying off into. Oh wow, Darby. That was good spotting. Hello, you. Oh, I know you have more members around there. Be nice to see you all come out. Oh, Darby, there's one at the top of the mound. There we go. They're kind of popping out through the holes. And you can see some movement at the back there too. Hi, GM. You'd like to know if some young mongooses leave their home group? Yes, well, but not. It doesn't always happen. So, what will usually happen is that within this family group, we have male, alpha male and alpha female, who do the majority of the mating, and the majority of the business of the group of mongoose are their offspring. And the offspring will stay with them for several years until they mature. And then they will move. Actually, they don't even have to be fully mature before they move, but they don't always have to move. And the males will sometimes disperse, but the females do disperse more often. Obviously, because they want to be the alpha female in a group. That's very cool. And if you saw one of them move to the head with me, well, obviously you didn't see me move my head, but I heard an elephant breaking a branch nearby, and both me and the mongoose looked in that direction at the same time.
I see them kind of just flicking their tails and stuff underneath this one we see here, so hopefully they'll emerge and we can have an even better view of them in a little bit.
This is Jake Whitener, all the way from the US, and he is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I decided to support and buy the Ticket to Dream to help Wild Earth in its mission of conservancy towards animals and the environment.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
And I would highly recommend that people would be involved in that program.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
Ever since I was able to get the Ticket to Dream, I've been looking forward to coming on this drive. It is an absolutely fabulous experience and it's great.
Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website, but once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
A few have emerged, but they seem to be a little bit more comfortable with our presence, so that's good. Also, I think I told you that the females are more likely to disperse, but it's the males that are more likely to disperse. While both do disperse, especially because they're family groups, so the alpha pair are constantly having youngsters. Because they're family groups, their rank gets lowered each time there's a new arrival of youngsters. So while both males and females will disperse, females are more likely to stay in their family group, but if they lose their rank to such an extent that there's lots and lots of sisters that are younger than them, then they will disperse too. But it's the males that are most likely to disperse. But again, they don't have to. They can stay in these family groups. But if they stay in family groups, then it means that they won't get the opportunity to mate as much because they won't get up to be top goose. Won't be part of the alpha pair. And for most of those individuals, it takes a couple years before they are able to disperse. Even though they will already be at least sexually mature before that time. You find that a lot. That while an animal may be sexually mature, they're not able to mate straight away because there are other things at play. There's other features that may need to develop. There's dominance or hierarchy that's got to be sorted. All those things need to be in place before an animal can mate. Unfortunately, just simply being sexually mature is not sufficient. Oh, there we go. Somebody's coming to say hi to this one on top. Oh, look at it. Oh. That was very sweet. I'm not sure if that was a stretch or it was half falling and losing its balance. Whatever it was, it was very cute. Hi, Monica. You'd like to know if they could stand upright on their back legs like meerkats? They certainly can. They're able to do that. So are slender mongoose. In fact, I saw one doing it yesterday on Chitwa. They can definitely do that. You'll find that a lot of small mammals can do that. You might even find with your hamster, if you've got one, or a mouse or rat, that they'll also be able to do that. And that's because being an animal that's so close to the ground, you learn how to change your behavior to see better. And so you very quickly learn that if you stand on your back legs, you can see over certain objects. And obviously if you're small, that's particularly useful. Looks like they've mostly warmed up and are now going to move out foraging, and they've used the back door of this termite mound as to not attract attention our way. I can just see a bit of movement in that gap. There you go. Now they're all going to scurry away. Good for them. It's time to forage and look for some breakfast for these guys. Well, I'm going to send you over to Lauren. She's in a bit of a bumble, and we're going to make our way towards the central portions of Djuma.
We've just literally arrived at Gowrie Dam, so we're still searching for you. We need a second or two. If I go here, Darren, do you think you can get the terrapin? There's a tiny baby terrapin. Oh, I don't know how to position for this. Can you see on the embankment from here?
Where am I looking?
On the embankment. There you go. And if you just zoom in here where my finger is, we should be able to get it. There you go. On the left, on the actual embankment, not in the water, there's a tiny, tiny terrapin. No, stop. To the left. There you go. Look how small it is. Oh my goodness. Especially in comparison to the adult. There you go. That's a nice comparison. It's tiny. This must be a hatchling. I'm pretty sure that's hatchling size. I spent a large portion of my career working with turtles, rescuing hatchlings. Given CPR, there's actually a methodology you can give CPR to a turtle. I'll never forget the day I was employed to work in the pre-opening team of a resort in the Maldives. And I was the only female, and it was very much a construction site at that point in time. No cutlery, no beds. We were sleeping on mattresses on the floor, eating with our hands, which is quite normal for Maldives. And My role was to ensure that everything was being implemented sustainably in an environmentally friendly manner. There was someone overseeing to make sure that nothing was getting chucked on the reef or nothing was getting damaged. And I remember receiving the call, we've just seen a hawksbill turtle tied up to the legs of one of the lagoon houses. I think, what? I don't even know what? So I obviously get there, and it was an adult hawksbill, and she was named after my old dog, Pepper. We knew her. And she was tied up to the legs of the lagoon house using monofilament fishing line. So I dived in there, my heart took over my head, and I grabbed her and immediately tried to cut her free. And of course, what happened? Oh, you see these birds that have landed? What happened was the turtle actually bit me really quite badly. I've still got the scar. And it's my fault. I put myself in the position to get bitten. I had to go and get a tetanus jab and all sorts. But basically, we cut her free, and she was inches away from death. I'll never forget that day, and she'd been tied up. Darren, do you just see this bird here? We don't often see this here. It's a bulbul. You see it? Just on the edge of this. I don't think I've put one of these on camera forever. No, it just started. Oh, this is still there. You see it? It caught something. Bulbul. Hello, you. Aren't you lovely? I think it's a dark-capped bulbul. But yes, the turtle was tied up because unfortunately they eat turtle in Maldives and it's illegal. But, I mean, it happens. There's a big illegal trade for turtle. They eat the meat, and especially with hawksbill turtles, it's highly toxic. They eat a lot of sponges that contain toxins, and through bioaccumulation it builds up in the turtle's tissue. So it doesn't harm the turtle, but if we are to then eat that tissue, the toxin is really, really bad for us. It's called cheloniotoxin. It can kill, actually, if it builds up in our body. But they do eat the turtle, and I have a lot of experience with rescuing them. The one we had to give CPR to, you put them on their back, and on the plastron, which is the underside of the shell. So we're looking at this terrapin's carapace. You see, the top part of the shell is a carapace, and it's joined to the plastron, and the plastron's the underneath part. There's actually a softer area, and you can give compressions, gentle compressions, and you can give mouth to mouth. I mean, the smell. It's not the freshest of breaths from a sea turtle, but you can give compressions and mouth to mouth and resuscitate a turtle. I think they're just fantastic. Chelonians. The slow life of a reptile. Trevor, yes, sea turtles and terrapins, absolutely soft. And that's why when you are with a clutch of eggs that's about to hatch, or they have hatched, if you need to rescue, you should obviously let the hatchling go its own way. But if you do need to rescue it for some reason, I had to actually rescue many hatchlings from an extremely famous tennis player, Poole. I won't say his name. But he called me, and getting a call from a famous tennis player at 4 a.m. is a little bit baffling. But the clutch had all hatched, and the hatchlings had gone towards the light. They go towards light, and that's one of the problems with turtles. They should be following the moon. But naturally, if there's artificial lights there from humans, they will follow those lights. And they ended up in a swimming pool. So we had to rescue about 50 hatchlings. And you need to be very careful that you don't touch them on the shell. You don't sort of squeeze them from top down on the plastron and on the carapace, if that makes any sort of sense. You've got to be really careful on how you pick them up because it's soft. And it actually takes quite a while to harden, believe it or not. So if you imagine this was a little hatchling, you should never pick them up like this on their carapace or their plastron. You can actually dent them. You can see turtles that get older that still have a dent in their shell, and clearly a human had picked that one up when it was a hatchling. It's really, really soft, and it's only once it starts to get older that that sort of keratin will harden and make the carapace that you see today. So you should never really pick up the hatchling, and if you do, you should either scoop them from underneath or try to sort of pick them up gently from either side. Not this way, or you will squish them, which is not very pleasant. You see that big monitor lizard? What's it doing? Reptile galore. This is a reptile party here. Look at that, there's two. Are you two having a romantic moment there? I feel like they might be. Darren, would it help if I went forward a little bit? Okay, they're getting very close here. I don't know what they're doing. Monitor lizards generally don't prey on the terrapins. But they can. They're equipped with these sort of really sharp... What are they doing? They're cuddling. Oh, you guys. Sorry, I forgot that name, Jared. I was too excited. I thought we might be getting some mating here. But someone asked if they would prey on the terrapin. X-ray, sorry, my apologies. I got very excited. Generally speaking, they don't, but they are incredible predators. They're predators, and they have a really voracious appetite. They can technically attack a terrapin, but it's a lot of work. You've got to really get to the soft tissues inside that carapace and that plastron. You've got to break it apart. So when you look at a turtle, the carapace and the plastron is essentially just a rib cage. You think of our rib cage, it's open, like a cage. But if you think of a rib cage that's fused together, either side, so left and the right, fused together, that's actually what creates the carapace and the plastron, so it's all joined. And it's a lot of work to get to the inner organs. Inside that sort of area will harbour the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, all the essential inner organs. So it's not an easy kill. So they don't really prey on terrapins, but technically speaking, they could. Got a very sharp bite, and they're fast. Especially for reptiles when they're warmed up and solar powered, they're fast. I feel like we possibly interrupted this little romantic moment here. They've still got their tails entwined. Yeah, this is so lovely. I think we're going to sit here a little bit longer at Gowrie Dam.
So we're still sitting on Ndlovu Dam wall. There's now, in exactly the spot where that buffalo was, there's now a whole group of impalas coming down to drink. One of them actually almost run us down. It was running along the dam wall, and we just stood very still, and it ran probably within 15 meters of us. Oh, now they're all off. I wonder what spooked them. Perhaps the monkeys. Could also be the scent of the lions that we've been following this morning. So our tracking partner, Morris, says that those lion tracks were going back and forth, up and down, all over the area north of the dam. And so it's tracks of maybe 2 male lions and also a lioness. So it could be that they're actually trying to follow that lioness. If it's Lagatha, we know that she's almost at the age now where she's old enough to start breeding. She must be getting to close to 3 years old, which is about the time she should normally have been having her first litter, maybe around about there. Which is great to see that the male lions are taking interest in her, because if she's able to mate with them, maybe, just maybe, she'll be able to establish a proper territory here and a new pride. And we know this is the core of the area she uses, which might mean that she can bring more lions onto Pride Lands, which will be fantastic. Now, the impalas have moved off. There's a few monkeys at the water's edge, but we can't see them from this angle that we're at right now. However, I'm sure more things will come down sooner or later. It's getting warmer. is the time that elephants should start coming down to the waterhole. That's an airplane flying directly over us, if anyone was wondering about the noise. So we're probably going to spend the rest of the morning just waiting here at Lowo Dam. You know, if those male lions are somewhere just north of the dam, and the lioness as well, there's a great chance, an absolutely phenomenal chance, that those lions will come here this evening to drink, which would be great for all of you and for us if we can get that on film a little bit later. So wish us luck.
It seems like it's the perfect time for all the mongoose to be out and about. Now you can see here, this mound is a little bit more bare, so we're able to see the mongoose much more clearly. This particular group that I see around Gawi Katla and Central, they're very relaxed. We've filmed them before. And they move around several mounds. At the moment, they're all around us. They think that they're being very sneaky and moving behind the vehicle. But I see you. I think they're one of the more relaxed groups that we have here on Djuma, because they don't react to us moving or the loudness of my voice very much at all. Now, they can be habituated in the same way as meerkats can. Just takes a little work. I mean, even in the meerkats, it takes a lot of work for that to happen. And that would be awesome to have a habituated group. So all a habituation means is that they are comfortable with the presence of humans or a vehicle. Doesn't mean that we encourage touching them or feeding them or anything like that. That's not habituation. That's trying to domesticate them. What it means is we want to get them comfortable with our presence. Obviously, like I said, it takes a lot of time and effort. You'd have to sit with the same group of mongoose for days and days and days and days and days and days and days. And for hours. Hi, MKL. You'd like to know if they eat snakes? They definitely will take small snakes. So they may not go after a mamba purposefully, but it can happen. But that's not their target snake prey. What they're looking for is smaller snakes that they can take easily. But that doesn't mean that they will deter from a mamba. It's just not the ideal prey for them. But snakes, lizards, insects, termites, snails, a very wide variety. Scorpions, they love scorpions. Davi, can I please swing you around? There's one on this branch that looks very pensive, I would say. Look at it.
It was actually, there was a squirrel that just jumped past it. So for a second, it looked like they were just sitting together. So if you had enough foresight, you could have taken a photo and it would look like they're being friends. But in fact, it was just passing by. So actually they've moved off the mound as well, so I suppose this group is also going to go about their day and forage. Everyone else is pretty much moved on. This is the only one we've got left. Hi, Molly. You say it's interesting how many creatures make use of termite mounds. Absolutely. Termite mounds are a great resource. They provide nutrients, they provide nitrogen fixation. So they're amazing structures. And that's just what they do chemically. And then they also provide a nice home for many, many animals. They provide places to hide. They provide warmth. They're amazing. Hello, you. You are particularly shiny. Good for you. You must be in great condition. Well, let's see if they're around in a bit, but if not, we're going to move on.
Educating our youth about the environmental threats we face is critical. Our future depends on it. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is actively leading the charge. Their goal is to encourage children to fall in love with our natural world and to empower them to live sustainably in the future. Through their school programs, the children learn to report on environmental issues through videos, articles and photos.
The YRE program has changed my life in so many beneficial ways. Being out there at the workshops, I was entitled to talk with others, socialize, as well as my writing skills and leadership skills have improved, so it has been great.
WESA is a membership-based organization. By joining WESA, you will be helping to provide valuable support for these youth education initiatives.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at And Beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through And Beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
We're just trying to keep up with this water monitor. Hello. They're so alien-like, but just beautiful. I don't think reptiles get enough attention as they should. People fear snakes. They don't understand the sort of reptilian biology. But they're incredible. And oviductal sperm is something I've been studying a lot. Oviductal sperm storage. And it's actually known in females across almost all taxa of reptiles, where they're able to store viable sperm for a really long time inside their body and then use it. And I know that sounds bizarre, but just think how incredible that is. You can just keep that inside of your body. Don't need to then go and seek a mate. You can sort of separate events if you like. Copulation is different from fertilization. You can allow your hatchlings to hatch, lay your eggs at the optimal timing for sort of any climatic variations or environmental variations. You are in charge. You've already mated. And you're separating fertilization as two very different events. And you're in charge of that. That's incredible. And there was actually a study on hawksbills again, which is one of 7 species of sea turtles. And they sampled 12 females, her tissue and her DNA. And basically they were observing them coming back to nest. Female turtles are philopatric, which means they will come all the way back to their natal beach to lay their eggs. It's really remarkable. And the offspring of one female hawksbill turtle were all sired by the exact same male as her previous visits. They were following her for a really long time. The same male, how on earth can that be? They're not monogamous. And also, it's highly unlikely that she would encounter the same male year after year. We're talking about the big, vast, wide ocean here. Not just a small little territory around Kalahari Dam, the ocean. She's not going to meet that same male. So what's happening is that she mated with this one male many years ago. He obviously impressed her, you know, big, strong genes. And she's just saved his sperm and literally used that time and time and time again for her clutches. Security measure. Got the sperm. Job is done. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Avoids inbreeding, I guess. Avoids sort of male coercion. Sea turtles can be very aggressive when mating. You've got one female and about 8 males all dragging you down. And you breathe air, remember. You need to come to the surface to breathe air, and you've got all these males fighting over you. Oh, the sea turtles, the terrapins back, Darren, just at the edge, the shore. Oh, no, we're going away again. We got scared. The monitor lizard scared you. You can still see them swimming away. And you don't have to mate again. You don't have to go through that awful scenario again where you've got all these males trying to drag you down with the possibility of drowning. You can choose the male that you think has the strongest genes, the best option for your offspring, and you can discard all the other sperm. I think that's really incredible that a female can do that and has the ability to do that, and it's been shown in almost all taxa of reptiles. Females don't really care about the males, remember? She cares about her offspring, her future offspring, her bloodline. That's the female's drive in life. Many of you are saying fascinating. Absolutely. And there's all sorts of different explanations, but really it comes down to fertilization assurance. You've got the sperm. You're in the big, vast, wide ocean. You may not encounter another male. You may meet no other turtles of your own species. You may only meet females. You may meet males, but you also may not. But who cares? You've already mated. You've got that sperm. That's one thing, fertilization assurance. Sperm selection. So you can store sperm from one male thinking he was a goodie. I quite liked him. He charmed the pants off of me. But then you might meet another male and you're like, whoa, no, this one is so much better. So you can discard that sperm that you don't need and then store the sperm of the male that you sort of preferred. Or some species can store multiple sperm in different pouches from multiple males. So you can choose. That's incredible. Mind-blowing. And of course, genetic variation. There's a possibility that for a large clutch, I mean, some sea turtles can lay over 100 eggs in one go, one clutch. Multiple paternity, so they don't all have the same father. This is for genetic variation for so many different reasons. Survival of the fittest. Hello, little one. You're so small. Oh, no, there's a big monitor lizard there, yes. The monitor lizard's on the move, and that's why this little terrapin's like, nah, I want a sunbathe, but, no. How sweet. It's very hard for humans to relate to reptiles. I mean, we're so different from them in every way, shape, or form. Snakes can be dangerous. They can kill humans. And lizards, big Komodo dragons are also scary. But really, their biology is just fascinating. Their survival strategies. I think that always has to be appreciated. Always try and get into the mindset of the animal that you're looking at. I mean, I personally feel these female turtles have got it sorted. If they just have to mate once and store the sperm, they have got it sorted. Independent ladies. But it has come to that time of day, the end of the sunrise safari, because the sun has in fact risen. But of course, as you know, we will be out for the sunset safari, where the sun will set once again. So thank you everyone for jumping on board. It was a quieter drive today for me. But you need those drives to appreciate all the other things, not just the exciting predator sightings. So please do join us this afternoon. And until then, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Goodbye for now.